moly, give that boat.
Court is in session with Ryan in Sacktown on If You Don't Like That. Now, Ryan in Sacktown.
Oh, must be Rhino.
Holy moly, give that boat.
Court is in session with Ryan in Sacktown on If You Don't Like That. Now, Ryan in Sacktown.
Oh, must be Rhino.
What did we witness? Yes.
You big dummy.
Even on a Taco Tuesday, I don't have the drop anymore, nor do I really want to play LeBron on here. On a Taco Tuesday, I'm using the word witness. After last night, the Spurs and the Thunder in an all-time classic. I have so many thoughts because I am a basketball junkie. Y'all know that. I go a level deeper than most in the game when you come on YouTube. So thanks for being here. Court's in session. If you are new to the show, we don't just talk Kings. We talk all sports, but certainly Kings take precedent when there is news there. Fun community here, by the way. They will embrace you. A little bit of sarcasm. We promote that around here on the King's Court. You can find us on Apple, Spotify, if you're listening on the podcast, wherever you find your podcasts, all these different places, man. Podcasts are everywhere. Tune in. Somebody might be listening there. What about Listen App? Listen App. The OGs in the chat, remember Listen App. So coming off of an unbelievable game one, we have so much content. Like as you go closer and closer and closer to the summer months, and we're starting to get there slowly, content begins to kind of slow down. The nozzle starts to tighten up a little bit. Not today. I could do this show, and I don't think any of you want me to do this show for 5 hours. I have that much. So that being said, we can go any way that you want to go today. All you got to do is get in on the chat. If you want to participate there, you can also call the show. QR code is on the screen. I will put the link in the chat if you want to call as well. Victor Wembanyama, 41 points, 20 plus rebounds, 22 years old. Did it from all three levels last night. And a couple of times, and I'll be very transparent about this. I promote Prize Picks. If you would like to hop in there, would love to have you. Use the promo code Rhino50. It'll get you $50 in free play after your first $5 lineup. And as I said last night, I did think the Thunder would probably take game one, but I bet the Spurs. They've just got a swag. And the word that I used was physicality. It's different. And the Thunder have long been considered the big physical team in the Western Conference. The Spurs are just at a little bit of a different level, and I'm going to walk you through it. But my key to last night's game was 110%. In fact, not just last night's game. My key to the entire series was these gentlemen right here. How are they going to let them play? Are they going to let them play? They did. It was a consistent whistle. It was a fair whistle. At no time did I think, oh, here we go. They're trying to get back control of the game. They never lost control, but they let the game kind of teeter on that edge of physicality. When you go to reviews, a lot of times something you see might be a flagrant one in the regular season, but now in the playoffs, guess what? It's not. And Mike Tirico was on earlier today on the NBA channel on Sirius, and he was talking about the referees. In fact, before we recap the game, I want to get his take, or I want you, and we're a little bit audio heavy today, but it's audio that, one, I don't think you're going to hear a lot of other places, and two, it's pertinent. It takes the conversation to a different level. So Mike Tirico on the refs last night.
The free throw line, you cleanse. That's what we're doing here. So here's what I wanted to do last night after the game. Got back to the hotel. I almost went.
Excuse me, that is not Mike Tirico on the refs. Let's hope this is Mike Tirico on the refs.
Butterfly effect, and then I'll hit the other part of what you just said. Mitch Johnson just said it to the media that was assembled and to us 10 minutes ago. Like, any one of a dozen plays in that game goes differently. Make, miss, foul.
Yeah.
Any one of a dozen plays and the outcome flips and flops. And that's what a great game gives you, right? That's an edge of your seat great game. And you can go back and what if at least a dozen plays just in make or miss or defensive rotation. Caruso's hand getting Wemby a bit slower that gave Holmgren a chance to come over and block and send the game to the first overtime. If that's a clean catch, game might be over. Right? Because Holmgren maybe doesn't get there. Wemby's too long, too big, gets over Caruso, scores, game over. So any of those could have flipped. I think I have a reminded appreciation personally of how difficult officiating is after doing the games, from 2003 to 2016, and then watching on TV for 9 years. They're like, oh, it's getting too physical. The athletes are even better. There's more switching now in the game than there was in 2016. I mean, how many teams switch 1 through 5, right? By the nature of that, there's so much more physicality on every screen, every bump, every turn, all the cross matches, right? It is so hard to draw the line on what's a foul, what's not a foul.
Right.
And I think when you get to now the 20 officials who are left, they do a really good job at finding the way to let them play, but also to call the right stuff. Now, they don't get it perfect, but I will remind you, the best players on the floor miss shots that they should make. Guys missed free throws last night. Those are easy. You should do those. That's the human condition of sport that makes sports great. So while we get all critical of how'd you miss that call, they're human. Like, I now see sitting in that first row, trying to look through and around bodies. Like, I miss stuff. I may get screened out by a slot official and I can't see who got the rebound until I look down at the monitor. To call every little piece of contact through that is really hard for these guys. So I just have an admiration for how the game was called. And I thought last night's game was called really well. They let them play. They let them establish.
Agreed.
I thought San Antonio was the aggressor. And I thought that got them to the free throw line, much like Cleveland was the aggressor to the basket in the Detroit series. Yeah, Harden draws fouls. Yeah, he gets annoying. Sometimes his head goes into the spasm when his arm gets hit. But he's a pro at doing it. That's why he's done it for 17 darn years. So you earn your way to the whistle. And I thought San Antonio did last night. And I'd be surprised if Oklahoma City doesn't do it tomorrow night in game 2.
Mike,
So that was Mike Tirico earlier today. He hit it on the screws. Well put by him. I thought last night again was well officiated. It was exactly what I would hope for in a playoff basketball game between two very fundamental teams. So we're going to talk a lot more about this game and get into some of the nuances, some of the more fun moments. We'll check in with you in a second. Want to give you a rundown of some of the other stuff that's going on. Yes, the Kings still hold the number 7 pick overall. This is nothing new. This has been out there that the Kings have been tied to interest in Darius Acuff. Guess what? It's a nothing burger report The Kings are tied to anybody that could go 1 through 7 and maybe players beyond that, because the draft has become, maybe not this draft, but a lot more of the drafts. The last 2 or 3 outside of your top 3 picks have become very subjective over objective. Teams are picking players that they feel they can develop quicker, that are better for their system. They're not going best available player as much. So you see some more parity. Portland, who we will talk about also in a second, is a perfect example of that. So wanted to acknowledge it since it's out there. Also, how about tonight? You've got the Knicks and the Cavs game 1 getting ready to tip off. Not a cheap ticket at MSG. $501, the get-in price. Does anybody take over cities like Knicks fans? Yes, no. It's an argument that goes back and forth. They took over Philadelphia, right? But here's the reality of it. If the Kings had major rivals that were that close and the Kings were good, we'd be taking over buildings too. So don't give Knick fan all this love for traveling 2 hours up the road. It happens all the time. It used to happen all the time. In fact, you've got Kings fans that make trips every season to LA in groups of 30 and 40. But anyways, back to the point. You've got game 1 tonight. Who do you like? I am taking Cleveland tonight. I think there is going to be a bit of rust that is on the New York Knicks. I think the layoff is going to hurt them a little bit. They're a team that has had ebbs and flows throughout the season. So Cleveland coming off of a big game 7 where they went on the road. In fact, they kick ass on the road, blow them out, embarrass Detroit on their home court. I think Cleveland wins tonight. Let me know if you disagree. Call me. Give me your thoughts on it. We'll get into that more. The battle, the pettiness that we didn't want, that nobody really wants. Have you caught this thing that's going back and forth between the Amazon broadcast and Shams? Shams doesn't appear to really want any of it either, but Malika Taylor, of course, she goes there. So we can talk about that. That is in the news as well. Rasheed Rice, what's happening, my man? Rasheed Rice, who is on probation right now. Guess what? He violated his probation. Yes, he violated his probation. You know what that means? He is in jail right now. Not like in jail for 24 hours. He will be in jail for 30 days and will be missing Chiefs OTAs and mandatory workouts because of it. Over a violation. Anybody guess what the violation was? Anyone? Going once, going twice. It is actually, I believe, legal in the NBA or in the NFL. They don't really test for it anymore, I don't think. But yes, the chronic smoking weed on probation. A lot there. The player tiers from our buddy Law Murray, those are still rolling out. So we can go over some of those if you would like. And because the Kings Court is, to me, a very collaborative place, I feel like we have stumbled on some really good things in the past. Like Celebrity Row, for instance. If you are new here, last summer, we decided in order to get the Kings back on track and to redirect Vivek Ranadive's attention, we would set up, because he loves being with the celebrities, right? The B-list celebrities, though. We would set up 2 rows with red ropes, red carpets, and those could be all the B-list celebrities around Vivek Ranadive, game in and game out. He would be so distracted around them, he would not even think about basketball operations, right? Like 50, hey 50, what's your newest movie that's going direct to an app that I've never heard of? Can you tell me that? Joey Fatone, my man, Joey. Dude, can you show me how you set up your backstage room? What do you put in that, Joey? Tell me some stories from the NSYNC days, Joey. Right? He would be so there, right? So we came up with Celebrity Row, worked out really well. We came up with some good names. I think Carrot Top was on there. It's time that we come back together and collaborate because this is getting worse before it's getting better. Tom Dundon, the NBA owner,
Welcome to the world of
who is
extreme cheapskates.
an extreme cheapskate. Check it out. The Trailblazers have laid off over 50 long-term team employees today, including some from their media. Wow. As new owner, Tom Dundon implements more cost-cutting measurements on the franchise. Tiago Splitter took over for Chauncey Billups with this ongoing federal gambling indictment. This was the year the team was supposed to take that step. Tiago Splitter, no NBA head coaching experience, not only steps in as interim, I would argue he did a better job than Chauncey Billups would have done this season and moved that franchise forward, probably to about right where they wanted to be. Certainly you want to win a championship, but they knew they weren't making that jump. But the fact that they made the playoffs, the fact that, you know, you lose a draft pick, but that's important to make the playoffs because that Portland fan base, they're very much hardcore basketball fans. That's all you got in Portland when it comes to professional, A-level professional sports. And now you don't want to pay Tiago Splitter? You've cast a net of 20 to 30 candidates? You want to pay a coach $1 million? Maybe $1.5 million? So here's the thing. This dude's all in. This ain't changing. Now, if Adam Silver actually had a set, he would pull him aside and have a little conversation. If any of the other owners had a set, they would pull him aside and say, get in line, my man. Because you remember how this started. He was having non-game essential people check out of their hotel rooms early and sit in the lobbies instead of being in their room until it's time to go to the arena. He wasn't letting two-way players fly to the playoff games. He goes on a podcast just this last week with Max Kellerman and says, yeah, I made a mistake there. I should have done better, right? But no, he's going all in. He is going to get, what are you going to do? If you're a Portland fan, like my buddy Chad in Portland, who is a host in Portland, the Rip City Drive, I got to see if I can get Chad on here because those fans are like passionate to the point, like, you remember Grant's show back in the day when it was caller, because it was the only way that you had access to him at the time or a forum with him at the time. Chad's show is very much like that. So the fans up there cannot be happy. But if Tom's going to keep slashing the prices and finding ways to save money, I figured we would all come together on the King's Court and help him out with some ideas. Like, what else can he do to save money? Because he's all in on it. So you're going to get a higher ticket price, right? Maybe a bring your own popcorn night, sell half-eaten hot dogs, no toilet paper in the bathroom. You have to buy a program and use a page out of the program. If you need to use the restroom, no luxury suites, 50% more. Guess it's not a sale. Don't know what it's called. So we can revisit this later in the show. I think we all come together and spit out some good ideas for him. Let's help him out. Let's embrace it, right? That's what we do here. We embrace the ridiculous in sports at times. So anyways, I've set the table. We've got a lot to get to, including tonight's game. Certainly last night's game. I've got a ton of audio. Jamal Crawford with maybe the call of the year last night. Incredible stuff. It's Taco Tuesday. What's up, Trist? How you doing, my man? Yeah, Wemby. Yeah, you know, there's one part of that game that not enough people are talking about that I'll get to. Dude, I can't do that. You know what? Gym boys, I love y'all, but the tacos are too greasy for me. Just too greasy. Asparagus tacos? Yeah, not sure about that. Still taking the Thunder in 6 or 7. Andre says, I've still got the Spurs in 6. Lynn is a happy man. What's up, Carl? How you doing? What a Western Conference Finals game. One for the ages. If you are a young person and you're into basketball and you were not alive for the Kobe years, the Jordan years, you're on the back end of the LeBron years. If you saw what Wemby did last night, that will be something that will be in your, like, you'll remember where you were at. Like, I remember, and I was older, but one of the moments that sticks out for me was I got relegated to my bedroom because I had a bad habit of keeping my room dirty. Not like dirty, but lazy, right? Clothes on the ground. And then I would even go as far to, like, just shove the clothes in the closet and then be like, oh, my room's clean. I can go do something. And my parents would just walk in and open the closet. And it's like an avalanche. So they caught on to that too. So I was legitimately cleaning my room. It was game 1 of the NBA Finals. It was in Chicago against the Jazz, and it was the game where Jordan hit the walk-off, game 1. Like, I just won't forget where I was at. I remember everything about that game, about that shot. So for many kids, maybe you're an adult who just started watching basketball. Last night very well could be that night. We are all witnesses. Refs, hard to adjust because players don't know what a foul is. So players will be complaining. You can have a great game, a great game for the refs, and the players are going to complain at some level. Last night, I think they knew. They had a feeling for what the physicality gauge was going to be because it never changed from the first minute to the 53rd and the 58th minute. Here's the other thing about Wemby. Imagine if Wemby played 35 minutes a night. He doesn't. That's scary. Ben Taylor was one of the officials yesterday. Well, good job by Ben. Anti-Knicks. All right. Knicks will easily win tonight. All right. You're going to fade it. So I ended up, I didn't finish that story. I ended up, because the line was so good on Prize Picks, because it's a poly market, I guess, and a projection market. You don't bet the spread, but you get a better payout if you're picking the underdog. And the multiplier was super high for the Spurs. So ended up going that way, and it worked out really well. Sometimes 49ers fans go up to Seattle. Yeah. We were on a plane full of 49ers fans the last time we went to Seattle. That would be her. Yes, that's what Rasheed was smoking. Ridiculous. It's just so idiot. Brian Austin Green, tell me about your time on 90210. Well done. See, we still got to add to Celebrity Row. Vivek thanking the basketball gods for Tom Dundon. Oh my gosh. Brian Wheeler got cut. Brian Wheeler is no longer with us, unfortunately. Lynn, Dundon owns the NHL Hurricanes. This is true. Makes sense that there is some overlap that employees can cover. The A's did something similar with the Sacramento Kings. Look, Peter, if you're going to make cuts, like, to the corporate structure, you're going to make cuts to operations and to the publicity, the HR side of things, do those cuts. But when you're not flying two-way players to games, when you're having trainers check out of their hotel room early and chill in the lobby for like 5 hours, that's a problem. You can't do that. Coach search, okay. What if after the Beam Team year, let's say it wasn't Mike Brown who was the coach, right? Let's say, well, you know what? Actually, let's go with that. Let's say that Luke Walton rolled into the Beam Team year as the coach of the Kings, and something in the offseason happened. And Mike Brown took over on an interim basis, and Mike Brown led the Kings to the Beam Team year, just like he actually did. And then Vivek Ranadive is like, yeah, no, too expensive. Because Thiago Splitter is not going to be, he's not going to be amongst the leading salaries for NBA coaches. He's not. He's going to be somewhere in the middle, probably closer to the bottom third than the top third. So you're not talking about spending a ton of money relative to what other teams spend, but a guy that the players love in Portland, in Thiago Splitter, you're going to break him off for what? A couple of $1 million? You don't want to spend a couple of $1 million extra to keep your program going the right way and to keep your fans happy, especially with the gambling thing going on, taking their mind off of that. You can't do those things, Peter. So if you want to do this stuff, cool. I'm fine with it. It happens in every business. Efficiency, work smarter, not harder. But when you're doing the other stuff, this stuff looks really bad. You get what I'm saying, Peter? You feel me, Peter? What's up, FL? I'm going to call you FL. I don't like saying that. I'm sorry. I can't say it, man. Carolina and Portland are on opposite sides of the country. Nothing like the A's and the Kings. Well, okay. Correct me if I'm wrong. Vivek Ranadive does not have ownership in the A's. So are we mixing teams up? He owns the River Cats. So if you're using the same employees to promote the River Cats and the Kings, yeah, but I see your point. Spare square. Exactly. Sorry, no sponges. Yeah, I need to hear from Haunted Horse. Where is Haunted Horse? That would help me out. Didn't watch the NBA. I watched the NBA instead. Yeah, Wheels passed away. Grant talked about that before. Giannis for Chet. Your thoughts? Zero chance that would happen. Well, would it? The Thunder would not make that deal. They wouldn't. I just don't see it. Dundon. Very, very cheapskate. Yep. Very cheap. Very cheap. So, anyways, let's get back to last night. It was just something you could not, as a basketball fan, take your eyes off. And there was different elements to this. And when I said Jamal Crawford had the call of the game, this was Stephon Castle's dunk. It was pretty nasty.
Holmgren hedges out. Castle's got a pass. Charges! Yay! And throws it down.
So he does this little hang on the rim, which you can see, and he's staring right at SGA, like staring straight at him, right? And here comes Jamal Crawford. Let's play this the right way. This is what actually was said after the call.
Castle's got a pass. Charges! Yay! And throws it down.
And then comes off the rim like Prince in the Chappelle Show skit.
Yay. Blouses.
That's great producing. That is incredible producing. Peacock, well done. Did you catch that? How did they get that in there that quick?
Holmgren hedges out. Castle's got a pass. Charges! Yay! And throws it down.
And then comes off the rim like Prince in the Chappelle Show skit.
Yay. Blouses.
So good. So good. But that's exactly what that was. Steph Castle was somebody that we talked about a lot yesterday. And I talked about him, the refs, the physicality, and how that would affect the matchup of SGA and him. And they were playing. Now, that said, the Spurs, you guys are talking about wheels. Yeah. That said, the Spurs and the Thunder, the one thing nobody's talking about today that needs to be talked about is the coaching job on both sides. Mitch Johnson and Coach Diagno coached nearly A-plus games. The schemes, the sets, the stuff they were running the Spurs at SGA, the play that ultimately got the game tied up where SGA got to the rim in regulation, a brilliant play by Coach Diagno to really put Wemby in that spot where I can come over and try to block that, but Holmgren's wide ass open in the corner for a 3, and it was a 2-point game. So Wemby had to stay home, game tied. I thought the adjustments were really, really well. Now, the wild card about this game was what you got out of Caruso. Caruso was out of his mind, and the job that he did on Wemby defensively, that's been kind of the playbook. There's a couple of ways teams have tried to guard Wemby, and you saw both ways last night. You saw the Chet way, which does not work. Wemby, although not large in stature from a muscle point of view, he is so much stronger than Chet Holmgren. He makes Chet Holmgren look like a high schooler. And Chet Holmgren is one of the best defenders in the NBA. But the physicality is something we will continue to get back to. Let's talk about the Wemby 3. Holy bleep. This is what it sounded like on Peacock.
Spurs got numbers. Holmgren now behind the play. 5 on 4. Wemby's going to pull a deep 3.
Oh my goodness. Oh.
Yeah. His heel was near the pointed part of the Thunder logo that's coming from midcourt. Just an absolute, in that moment, know what your team needs, confidence in yourself, pull. This guy balances the perfect line between arrogance and unselfishness. Like, he is the perfect balancing beam between those two worlds of arrogance and humility. He knows how good he is. He knows. And by the way, he's 22 years old. We're just getting started with this guy. Wait until he figures more out. 22 years old. So he has that arrogance about the confidence in his game, but by all accounts, he's the best teammate ever. His team loves him. Other players around the league love him. And the way his game works, you can see his IQ is through the roof. He's looking for his teammates. He understands the areas when he has to take over. And boy, oh boy, does he take over. Renus, what's up? Do the Thunder need bigger players? They are running small ball with their lineups. Same thing for the Spurs, but they have Wemby. No. So, you know what? I'm going to go against the grain with you. The Thunder, think about this. The Thunder won, how many games did they win this year? 65? Off the top of my head. Reigning champions. They bully everyone else. The reason that they're getting bullied, or at least they did last night, and the record so far this season between the two teams, the Spurs have won 5 of 6 meetings. The reason is the Spurs are more physical at every single position. Even if one of the Spurs players is smaller than the opponent on the Thunder, they're more physical. There is no drop-off in physicality when Victor Wembanyama leaves the floor and Kennard, is it Luke Kennard? Kennard comes in off the bench. He is still physical. And from a guard standpoint, there is not one guard on the floor. And if you notice Harrison Barnes, he's a forward, but he only played 5 minutes, almost 6 minutes last night. The young guys, they have a standard. They beat you up on both sides of the floor, and it's unrelenting. There's going to be times they miss shots, but they never miss on the physicality. And the Thunder, through 5-6 games this season have not been able to meet that. So if the Spurs continue to play with that type of physicality, think about it. The Thunder have been the biggest kid on the block doing that to everybody else. It's just you have such a consistent flow of a certain type of player that has a certain type of mindset, and they all have extremely good basketball IQ. The team is selfless. They're unrelenting. They don't care who scores the bucket. They just want the bucket. They want the win. They beat you up over time. And to see them do that last night, to me, that was not rust from Oklahoma City. The only rust that might have came off Oklahoma City was the rust that the Spurs beat off of them. I don't know how Coach Diagno is going to counter this, because you have the personnel that you have at this point. Jalen Williams had a really good game still. Now, you can't say this. The Thunder shot the 3 ball extremely poor for the majority of the game outside of Alex Caruso. You're not going to get that game from Alex Caruso every single night this series. It's just not going to happen. It speaks to really his professionalism, number one, the fact that he's been a champion before, his experience, etc. But I don't know what the Thunder answer is. You got to make your threes, number one. The other thing about the physicality that the Spurs play with on the perimeter that I think is so important is it allows them to throw different looks at SGA. Now, you might want to double him right off the bat, which you saw a little bit of. That's what the Lakers did in the previous series. But the Thunder did not, and SGA could not get comfortable for the majority of last night. And the reason was you didn't have just one guy on him. You had a multitude of different players from the Spurs that are able to switch onto him, which gives him different looks, which means you're not picking up the same tendencies. And so I don't know. I'm of the opinion 5 of 6, when you beat a team 5 times in 6 meetings, it's not a coincidence anymore. The playoffs is about matchups. Tay pointed this out and reminded me of that last week. We always talk about that. But if this, and that's why I said the refs are the wild card, if they get to play physical basketball, it's donezo. Like, I don't see how this goes beyond 6 games. Jason says SGA will play much better. Okay. Spurs are just a better team. They are a better team against OKC. It's a very good point. They have everything that it takes. Spurs are just a better matchup. Go Spurs, go. Spurs beat OKC 5-1 this year. Yeah, I got them. I picked them in 6. Spurs are winning the championship. Yeah, I picked them to win the championship as well before the playoffs started. You're not going to get that out of Wemby. You're going to have games where Wemby is not shooting the ball the way he did last night. You're going to have games where Holmgren will, SGA, whoever it might be, they're going to find ways to give him different looks. And for the most of the game, it was either Caruso or it was Chet Holmgren. But like, I can't tell you for me, and this is just for me, somebody who covers basketball in Sacramento, California, and covers the National Basketball Association. So it's me here. I'm not somebody that travels around the country to cover games every single week. You know who is? Mike Tirico is. Listen to what he had to say last night about what he saw.
The free throw line, you cleanse. That's what we're doing here. So here's what I wanted to do last night after the game. Got back to the hotel. I almost went my worldwide route. I almost like just opened up my phone and just started talking for 15 minutes because it was like a download of what we just saw, and it was amazing. I think in a game, And in a series especially, you want to leave room for something better to happen. Because if you start on 10, there's nowhere to go, right? But Victor does that, and he does things you have not seen and you're not familiar with, and it makes you react differently. And last night was one of those nights, from defensive plays to Oklahoma City throwing everything at him, and he just got past everything, to the three-pointer. Like, every moment he met. And you guys have seen it. I think NBA fans have seen it. But we haven't seen it for this long, most minutes he's ever played, at this high a level with these kind of stakes. So all of a sudden, like, you went from the dollar table to the $500 table. It's like, oh my gosh, this guy belongs at the table because he can do things that very few people can do.
Mike, and the great point that Mike makes there is they threw the kitchen sink at Wemby. I'm not going to put anything past the Thunder and their coaching staff and their organization. Everybody there is bought in, and they operate at a high level. So they will have something new come tomorrow night. But as for game one, I mean, can it get better than that? We'll see. As who put it in the chat, they didn't even have Fox. You know where they missed Fox last night? They missed Fox in those late shot clock situations where you're scrambling beyond the arc. And Harper played excellent last night, but that is where they missed Fox. And OKC, Steph Castle, by the way, last night turned the ball over 11 times. I believe it was, off the top of my head. 11 turnovers last night. And they still win the basketball game. And that's the Thunder's game. The Thunder's game is to turn you over and score more points off of your turnovers than the Thunder actually turn the ball over the entire game. That is what their game is. So here's how it sounded as it played out on Thunder Radio.
Doubling right, gives it up, left corner to Harper. Slices right in the lane, leans in, scoops and scores with the right hand. What a game he's had. And he's knocked down and fouled by Shea. Very late whistle blown by Mitchell Irvin. Wow. As Harper's holding his face. 114-111. Gildas Alexander guilty of his fourth foul. Do the Thunder challenge this? I don't see contact on the shot. Do the Thunder challenge this? I don't see contact on the shot at all. Harper's holding his face, lying on his back under the bucket. 2:04 to play. The young Spurs answering every call in game one. And now they're going to replay to determine whether or not there was more than a common foul against Shea. There's going to be an and one for the Spurs, who lead again by 3, 114-111.
My guy, Matt Pinto, on Thunder Radio, I said this yesterday, he's a baby. He does not always tell the full story. Harper got hit. He got hit twice. The first hit is where they called the foul. The hit that kept him down was SGA's other arm coming down on the backside of the play. This dude's on the radio looking at monitors. You don't see that. So as we get closer to getting to overtime last night.
Pounding left-hand dribble at the logo, crossing over. Snaking right, behind the back, dribbling down the lane, sidesteps, floats it up. Caruso knocked it away and has it. Alex speeds up the right side, 1:25 to play. Probes the paint, hits Shea. Grinding and jump stopping to the trailing Dub for 3 straight away. It's online, count it. Cha-ching, a Thunder money ball, huge shot by Jalen Williams. 115, 114, 121 to play. Caruso created it with the strip, and Dub cashes it in. He's got 26 in the opener. Thunder seek a
huge game for Jalen Williams coming off of that hamstring. Did not expect the minutes that he was able to play, but the production that he was able to give you. Matt Pinto again.
So driving on Wemby, comes up and under, twirls the layup, no good. Holmgren has the loose ball, and his block going up. Dub gets it back, lays it up, and overshoots the rim. No foul call. Spurs get it back in ring command now with 40 seconds to play. 118-114 San Antonio in the second overtime, and the Spurs can smell it. Castle in no hurry to do anything, just pounding the dribble inside midcourt, played by Mitchell. Gets a screen from Vassell. 8 to shoot. Castle sizing up Shea. The lob comes to Wemby, who dunks and gives the Spurs a 6-point lead with 22 seconds to play, and that likely will do it in game one. Wembanyama 41 points, 22 rebounds in the opener.
How about that? 41 and 22. And the last we'll really talk about the game is the summary from Matt Pinto.
Ordinary resilience by both of these teams. Thunder were down by as many as 10 and really had very little going offensively. Battled all the way back from that deficit. Had a chance to potentially seal it in the first overtime, but couldn't get a shot to fall from Mitchell on the wing up by 3. That opened the door for the Wembanyama time. And now the Thunder are definitively to play in the second overtime. Still have a timeout left. The Spurs have 2. San Antonio a foul to give. McCain.
So there you go. That was how the game ended because they did not score. Shot was blocked. Back for game 2 tomorrow. What's incredible is this picture. Because we're all looking at Wemby. Wemby's, I don't know, looking at the OKC sign, maybe himself on the monitor in the arena. But that's a group of professional basketball players that cannot believe what they just saw. It's insane. Also, that's a group of guys that are tied together at the hip. They're playing for something bigger than themselves. To a degree, it feels like they're playing a little bit for Pop. Pop is very involved behind the scenes. He met Wemby at the airport after he was ejected from the game in Minnesota. This just feels like a team of destiny. It does. Now, anything could change. Wemby could sprain his ankle. OKC, they're the champs until they're knocked off the mountain. But there's something brewing that's special in OKC. And it is right now the San Antonio Spurs. So I said, El Jefe, that's right. Good job by you, Peter. So I said Wemby has this perfect balance between his confidence in what he can do, but also humbleness as well. It's a really hard thing where you can have somebody that can tell you how it is. And that's what Wemby really does. He tells you how it is. This was after the game when he was being interviewed by whoever the sideline reporter was.
Long series, the fair plan. Come on, boy. If it's a long series, we're going to need this win.
It's going to be a long series. We need this win, but see Steph Castle come up to him. But usually guys that are cocky and confident, they're not popular. Like, people don't really like them. They like to see a little bit of humbleness. I don't know how Wemby strikes that balance between both, but last night SGA was given the MVP award by Adam Silver. Yeah, Ears was in the building. And Wemby had, I don't want to say campaigned for the award throughout the season, but there was a couple times he openly indicated that he thinks he should be the MVP of the league. So Wemby had to watch that. And he was asked after the game about having to watch SVP get the MVP award. Here's what he said.
At all, knowing that Shea had got that award and you were in the top 3 for it, and did any part of tonight feel personal? Some of your facial expressions kind of look like you were really, really going for it.
Yeah, for sure. Everything you just said.
Yeah, for sure. Everything you just said.
Gang. Blouses.
Like, how can you be mad at him? Like, he believes it.
Yeah, for sure. Everything you just said.
Yeah, for sure. Everything you just said. I love this dude. I'm telling you, this guy. I was not, many of you who watch our post-game shows, I don't want to say like I was a hater of Wemby. I was skeptical of Wemby. I was looking for the holes in his game rather than acknowledging how ridiculous some of the things he does. We're getting a complaint. Oh, you love the wrestling talk. Yeah, Adam, I told you Brock was coming back. Take your medicine, Adam. Oh, no, he's done. He's done. No, he's done. Yeah. My source that has a source to Brock. Yeah, no. He's done. Yeah, he's done with it. It was a good send-off. But he's back. Yes, we'll talk about it Friday. And I think we are going to have a little surprise for you. Something you will like. A new addition to the team. But anyways, I was skeptical of Wemby. And when they came to Sacramento and I saw him in person and saw the way that he knows where he needs to fill in games in different areas, maybe an area where there's a mismatch with one of his teammates and the opponent. He's like a quarterback out there. And he's in the right spot. And by the way, if he's not in the right spot, he can probably be there by just reaching his arm out, which is insane. But this team size of the Spurs, not just height, but I mean, they're built. They're bigger. They're stronger. When I saw them, I said, they're winning the championship. I just didn't see how anybody was going to be able to deal with them and this was on a night that Wemby was playing the minimum minutes to be considered a full game. I think he played like 23, I want to say. He was spectacular. In fact, everybody stayed for most of that game. So how Fox rolls back into this will be interesting in game 2 because it's a completely different type of guard that is not on the floor right now. Fox is not as physical, but he's craftier. So how that will all play out, will the Thunder find an advantage there? Will it put the Spurs over the top? We'll see, but holy crap. Last night, just simply incredible. All right, let's talk really quick about what happened between ESPN and Amazon. I don't usually get down or get dragged down in this stuff, but the last time I checked, it's Sham's job to break news, like before the news actually breaks, before it's officially announced, right? It's nothing new. He broke that Fox was going to be out before it was on the injury report. He broke who was going to be the rookie of the year, most improved player of the year, all that stuff. He's broken all of it. Now, the one thing that I do not like, missing Grant and Rhino for sure. Thank you, Athena. Miss you as well. But I mean, we're here. It's no different. We still got a great platform, so we're good. Anyways, the one thing I don't like about the insiders, and credit to the NBA, credit to the NFL for finding a way to circumvent this, but when they were leaking, 30 seconds before teams set to pick in a draft, leaking who they're picking, I didn't like that. I thought that kind of ruined it for me. So when it comes to the day-to-day operations, you know what Shams is. You know what Shams does. So he leaked the MVP news before Amazon, who had SGA waiting with the rest of his teammates to do an interview and announce it right there on the spot. He leaked it. Amazon did not take nicely to this.
Clear, the official announcement is happening here. Dirk and Steve, you all both won MVPs, but I don't remember Sham spoiling it way back then.
I don't think he was around. He was a baby then.
Yeah, what are we doing, man? Like, it's Sunday, Shams. Go to brunch, you nerd. Come on.
There are other things.
Okay. So that was the Amazon crew. Next day, here is Malika Andrews when Shams is coming on to report, this was yesterday, that Jalen Williams would be available.
Insider Shams Charania, who joins us fresh off brunch. Shams, big news in Oklahoma City ahead of tonight's matchup against the Spurs. What update?
That's Shams' face the entire time. Let me play another version for you, because Shams was not entertained in the least by Malika Andrews throwing that in.
Insider Shams Charania, who joins us fresh off brunch. Shams, big news in Oklahoma City ahead of tonight's matchup against the Spurs. What update?
Yeah, So here's what went wrong here. There's certain things as the person that's leading the conversation, like Malika, like Taylor Rooks at Amazon, you're in charge of leading that. You're transitioning into something. You can't put your teammates in that position. This was Taylor Rooks' fault. I guarantee you Blake Griffin did not want to say anything. You notice how everybody else kind of laughed? Steve Nash, Dirk Nowitzki. They knew that you don't go there. And
Clear, the
Blake's going to
official
be
announcement
Blake,
is
but listen.
happening here. Dirk and Steve, you all both won MVPs, but I don't remember Shams spoiling it way back then.
I don't think he was around then. He was a baby then. Yeah, what are we doing, man? Like, it's Sunday, Shams. Go to brunch, you nerd. Come on.
Yeah. See how Steve and Dirk are like, oh, yeah, he was a baby back then. They're like, really, Taylor? And I like Taylor Rooks a lot. So I guarantee you Taylor probably got pulled aside behind the scenes for that question. And Malika, like, seriously? Really? To me, it's unprofessional.
Insider Shams Charania, who joins us fresh off brunch. Shams, big news in Oklahoma City ahead of tonight's matchup against the Spurs. What update?
Yeah. So it's really a nothing burger of a story. It's an example of two really bad decisions. Malika is human AI, so happy and forced. The Amazon crew is entertaining. I agree with you. What, Daniel, you want Shams to be happier? I mean, it's Shams. It's what he does. I mean, he does work a lot. How many phones do you... What's the over-under on the amount of phones that Shams has? You've got to have your personal, right? Like your personal, that if that thing rings, it's your circle. It has nothing to do with work. Then you've got to have like your work phone. And then you've got to have probably another phone that's like for the, they're not quite in my work circle, but they have my number. You know, maybe they'll give me some information. Like he's got to have at least 3 phones, don't you think? And I think it's really interesting how that whole process works out, like how Shams gets the news before everybody else. Because it's not like, you know, Shams is competing really with anybody else. And it got handed over to him after Woj retired. Interesting. Very close with the agents, I would guess. Very weird. So, anyways, that is your drama. We talked about Rasheed Rice, who will be spending the next 30 days in prison for violating probation. Had a dirty drug test. I mean, I can't imagine OTAs are that bad. I can't. I mean, you're not in full pads, right? It's not summertime yet, so it's not like peak heat. It can't be really that much different than what you're doing. Maybe you're doing more in the film room, whatever, more with your skill coaches outside of the practice field. But it can't be anything like training camp. And it can't really be that much different than the working out that you're probably already doing with your team and the trainers. So I'm thinking, like, was this dude trying to get out of OTAs and the off-season practices that were mandatory? Like, maybe if he didn't want to go to training camp, you roll one up. But to get out of this, I mean, 30 days, that's rough. And it's stupid, too. It's stupid. Steve Nash and Dirk have been great for the show. Very knowledgeable. Yes, absolutely. 100% with you. My wife commented about the game. She was glad that we were not going anywhere after the game due to overtime. All wife remembers sports. Ah, Gotcha. One of those. Okay, Lynn. Good enough. Shams is human. I've never heard human AI. That's actually pretty funny. There's a lot of people that you could put into that category. Human AI. 4 phones. Yeah, at least 3 for sure. Because then maybe it is 4. Because then you've got that 4th phone number that like you're giving out to people. Like where, I don't know, you're trying to like kind of build a relation. I don't know. You've got to have multiple phones. You just do. Doesn't work out well. I only have 1 phone because I'm not in his world. But like most people, like how many of you have work phones? You probably have work phones. If you don't and you use your phone for work, you should be asking your employer to reimburse you. Anyways, sorry. That's why it's also called the King's Court. Past life there, butting in. All right. So we also talked about Tom Dundon. You know what? Let's just start this segment out right. Let's do it right. Tom Dundon is now laid off a ton, 40 people, which again, I said at the start of the show. Hey, did you know that one of Woj's phones, in fact, I believe it was the phone that he broke the LeBron to Miami news, it got auctioned off and like it sold for a ton of money. It's insane. Anyways, back to our guy here, Tom Dundon. I said at the start of the show, it's a non-story if you're not doing the ridiculous stuff. Like the so off par, off standard stuff, like not letting two-way players come to the games, looking to only pay an NBA coach $1 million, coming off of a rebuild that is on the right track, very much on the right track. You're going to stall it out and piss off your players because you don't want to pay Tiago Splitter over $1 million. Come on, my man. So now anything you do is going to be reported. Any little thing that team does. So since we're creative around here, decided we might as well help him out because he's not going to stop. He's going to keep going into meetings, running AI, looking for ways to cut costs. So why don't we help him out, okay?
For 2 pounds of jumbo lump, where's some cheap stuff?
You know, it's really easy to make your own deodorant.
When it comes to money, there are those who save.
Expired products, are they free?
There are those who are stingy.
This was from the Portland building. I actually got the audio.
There are cheapskates.
He's going through my trash.
Sort of like a cheapskate archaeological dig.
Yeah.
Now, can you do any better on the price for me?
America's cheapest man makes gifts from garbage.
What kind of house guest would I be if I didn't bring a little
Look at
gift?
that.
And meals out of scraps.
I'm going to introduce the Wilsons to the cheapskate delicacy, the salmon carcass.
How about that? What's up, FL? How about that? It's exclusive audio. A source of a source said this came from the Portland Trailblazers facility.
Where's for 2 pounds of jumbo lump, where's some cheap stuff?
You know, it's really easy to make your own deodorant.
When it comes to money, there are those who save.
Expired products, are they free?
There are those who are stingy.
Making out like a bandit.
And then there are cheapskates.
He's going through my trash.
Sort of like a cheapskate archaeological dig. Now, can you do any better on the price for me?
America's cheapest man makes gifts from garbage.
What kind of house guest would I be if I didn't bring a little gift?
And meals out of scraps.
I'm going to introduce the Wilsons to the cheapskate delicacy, the salmon carcass.
Yeah, for sure. What's up, Blaine?
What's up? I just got to jump in real quick about that game last night. That game was so amazing. Watching those young Spurs reminds me of the 2000 Spurs, the way they played for the team, not for themselves. This team could be scary if they can stay healthy and keep this core group together. What do you think about that, Ryan?
It's been what I've been saying all show, brother. You're spot on.
And I want to go back to my little comment. So 33 years ago, Me and my wife, we bought our house, and we were getting ready to go to dinner. I had one of my buddies come by and check out our house. This was the 1993 NBA Finals, the Chicago Bulls against the Phoenix Suns. We were watching Game 4. Do you know your history about Game 4?
Derek Fisher?
This is 93. This is back
Oh.
back with when Mr. Chicago Bulls, and this was back when Barkley played for the Suns. This is
No,
like
I do
33
not.
years. You were
Yes,
probably
no.
somewhere in grade school at that time there, Rhino.
I would have been 9. Yes.
Yes. So I told my wife we will go to this Chinese buffet on Arden Way called Luau Garden after the game. This game went into overtime. This game went into double overtime. This game went into triple overtime.
Oh, you know what, Lynn? I do remember that. I 100% remember that. It was in Phoenix, right?
Yeah, I think it was in Phoenix. Yes, that is correct. So that's my comment. I was saying how wives remember. I get this comment from her every once in a while when I'm watching basketball. And this game happened 33 years ago. We were like just married. We didn't even have our son yet. Like 2 years in our marriage, we just bought our house, and I still hear this comment 33 years later. And she goes, "Well, glad we're not going to dinner tonight. Go ahead and enjoy your game, hun." I mean, 33 years later, I still get that drop.
Hey, you know what? Was it worth it?
Oh, it's worth it. She's a great woman, so I can't complain.
Amen. Amen. Good job
All
by
right.
you. Appreciate you,
Talk-
brother.
Talk to you later, dude. See ya.
Be well, dude. Appreciate the call. Lynn is a man of much mystery. He's like 6'7", 6'8", super into F1 and racing, knows his stuff, travels the world. Dude gets it. All right, let's talk a little bit more about Tom Dundon. Like, if y'all don't want to help me, then I'm just going to brainstorm some ideas about how he can save money. How can he save some money in that building? They've got to have dishwashers, right? Maybe they can steam the hot dogs in the dishwasher. Right? You just wrap them in the foil. You put them in while you wash the dishes. You got to make sure it's tight, though. You don't want any water getting into the hot dog. That might work, dude. Tom, are you write this stuff down, Tom? How about a urinal tub, Tom? Take out all the individual urinals and use a tub, a trough, like the one at the Oakland Stadium that is gross and disgusting and should have never been there in the first place. Tom, you know that ice? You know that ice that your players use after the game? Why don't you, when that ice bag is done, why don't you refreeze that, break that into chunks, and then send it up to the plaza level? And you can use that for your soft drinks. That's a good idea. No ice. No ice. Yeah, you could save there. How else could he save some money? Making the players use, like, instead of showers, take away the showers, just get a tub of water and just make them all bathe in the same water. That might work, Tom. Ooh, I got one. Why don't you have your employees dig through the trash, get the used napkins, put them out in the sun? I know that's a problem in Portland. Not a lot of sun. Dry them out and reuse them. That might work. Peter says turn t-shirts inside out and print the current promo on the old shirts. Not a bad idea. Greg says general admission seating. No, he would lose money on general admission seating. But hey, if you are a Portland fan, seriously, if you are a Portland fan, here's what I would do to get back at him. Why don't you buy your Portland gear? Because you're going to buy it anyways, right? So buy your Portland gear. Make sure that you leave the tags on it. And when it needs to be washed, just shower with it on, hang dry it, and why don't you return it at the end of the season? You can get back at the owner by doing that. Now, it's a little tricky if you still have the tags on, but I've talked to some fair weather fans that are Niners fans and Lakers fans that do this. They actually attach a plastic baggie to where the tag is at, so it stays dry. So that might work too. Kazzy, can you help us out with some more ideas, dude? What's up, Kaz?
You're killing me with that one, with the dishwasher and then the ice box.
Hey, I'm just trying to help. That's it.
Okay, I can't imagine how bad that ice would taste in your drink, Ryan.
Well, I mean, you've got the plastic bag separating the water from or the ice from the player, right? I'm trying to think like a cheapskate here.
Maybe we would provide some like filters, like some handheld filters from like REI or some shit.
There you go. Hey, you know what, Tom, Kazzy, what if instead of brewing coffee with filters, you brew coffee with socks? You use the sock as a filter, Tom. Okay. Then you wash the socks and then you put them in the player's locker. Go ahead. No, Tom. It's the Pacific Northwest, right, Kaz? So a lot of seafood up there.
You know, maybe you could sell some seafood as well on the side. Maybe that'll get the fans to buy it.
Well, I was
Welcome
going
to
say,
the world of extreme cheapskates.
It's not usually a thing to eat seafood that still has the bones in it. So you have to debone the fish. Tom, why don't you dry the bones out and put them in the player's locker room and use them as toothpicks, Tom? How about that, my man? That would save some money.
Oh, shit.
What's up, dude?
You know, I'm gonna say that game last night, I have to say that's probably the first game of the entire season where I watched like 98% plus. When I mean 98%, like okay, maybe the other 2%, I got up to go to the bathroom, I got it for snacks or whatever. But that was a hell of a game. That was actually very entertaining. And then Wemby in the like last, few minutes of the fourth and the overtime. Wow, that guy was impressive. I'm not gonna lie.
1 of 1.
And Ryan, I don't know if you saw this clip on social media, but there's, back in 2016 when Curry, I'm sure you saw that when he hit that same shot from like that same distance, right? You saw that, right?
Yes.
But here's the thing. Here's the interesting thing on that play before like Curry and Wemby hit their respective shots. So when Curry in that 2016 series, Westbrook shot was a missed shot right before that, and then J-Dub was obviously a missed shot, but their two shots were very similar, and they were on the same side of the court. Everything was the same. So Westbrook's and J-Dub's shot was on the same side and same distance, and Wemby's was on the same side and same distance. Like that's crazy, and it's 10 years apart.
That is. I can't believe you remember that.
No, I just saw it on Twitter. Someone was just like showing it. And like they're like, whoa, like not just Wemby's and Curry's shot, but the shot prior to that, the missed shot prior to that by Westbrook and J-Dub was near identical.
Do we need to put on our tinfoil caps? Is there something to it?
Maybe.
Conspiracy? Is that where you're going with this?
I mean, if I'm honest, I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but you never know with this kind of stuff.
I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I just show a candle as my picture. You're the best, dude. I'll have to check that out for sure. So how you feeling about the draft?
It's kind of funny. So like over the weekend was actually the first time I really started checking out the prospects outside of AJ Desponza. And the thing is like, okay, here's the thing. Kingston Flemings, I do not want. I mean, if we were picking 20, I'd be okay. But Kingston Flemings really gives me Dyson Daniel vibes. Now, okay, yes, Dyson Daniels, he's a good player in this league. I think he'll probably have a 14 to 15-year career. But I'm saying at 7, if that's what he's going to be from my perception, I don't want that. Give me Acuff. Give me McHale Brown Jr. Keaton Wagner. Wagner? Is it Wagner? Seems like he could be Wagler could be a bit of a project, but has more potential than Flemings. If you get what I'm saying.
Yes, I think Wagler is going to be a decent project because he's not a quick player. He's got some. Think about, to me, a little bit smaller, better scoring Keegan Murray. He's kind of got that vibe and better handle as well. I don't to just kind of take it off the table. I don't think Acuff will be there at 7. I think he will be gone.
I mean, if I'm like this thing, if I'm a Nets fan, I would be pissed if we don't draft Acuff.
Well, they also drafted how many point guards last draft? Like 2 or 3? It's crazy.
I mean, okay, like McHale Brown Jr., do you think he could be right there with Acuff in like 3-4 years?
I don't know, Kaz. I haven't like really dug into it. I haven't dug into him, I should say. I've dug in pretty good on Kingston Fleming and pretty well on Acuff. But I'll dig in on him next and let you know. I just think we have to be careful too, because there's been this belief, or at least this not belief, but this hope that we were going to have a top 1, 2, 3 pick throughout the season, and then we get smacked in the face at 7, even though you're tied for 4th with the worst record. And we can't carry the same expectations of what a 1, 2, or 3 would have been to the 7. Like, we got to realize you're drafting 4 spots behind. Doesn't mean you can't get a better player, possibly, but like I think that Kings fans, maybe I'm wrong and I'm offbeat here, but it's like, okay, well, we still need to find that guy at 7. You do, but the likelihood of finding that guy at 7 is much smaller. So like what you said, what could be a couple of year project, that very well could be something that the Kings are looking at. Like, okay, well, we're not a win now team, but if we can develop this guy along the same timeline that we're developing our other young guys, then maybe that works. But I'll dig into Brown and we'll see where it comes out.
For sure. And I just thought this was real interesting. I thought I'd share with you in the chat and people that I watch after the show. If you go on Twitter, I just call it Twitter, type in
does.
Bassie Muse, like the player Charles Bassie. I don't know if he's in the league anymore. Bassie Muse. This guy up to this point has correctly predicted every single playoff matchup, and he has the Spurs winning it against the Knicks in the finals.
That's the finals that I have as well.
Oh, shit.
So put me up with Bassie, yo.
Alrighty. Have a good rest of your day, Ryan.
Appreciate you. Thanks, Kaz. Good stuff from Kaz. I'm trying to like give Kaz good answers, but I can't stop thinking about Dundon. So Kaz, I'm sorry. I will be better at transitioning my thoughts, but my thoughts were just like all here. Like both how he
Welcome
can
to the
cut
world
money
of extreme cheapskates
and how fans can get back at him for cutting money. I mean, like for sure what I'm doing if I'm a fan in Portland is I'm bringing just nothing but change to the game to pay for things. I've asked for your ideas. I mean, he could theoretically, now he's not going to hire an employee to do this. He'll have to do it himself, but he could take the nets off of the goals after the games and use them for fishing. That might work. I'm trying to help you out here, Tom. Since you can't help yourself and you're going to go down the wrong path, I might as well throw some gas on that. Let's see what y'all put. He should add those grandma toilet cushions to the general seats and charge $200 plus premium on them. Not a bad idea. Collect the rainwater. Use that for the water bottles, water fountains, toilets, etc. No, you're right about collecting the water. He's not putting water fountains out. Are you crazy? That's water bill that he has to pay for. It's not happening. He's going to make you pay for anything that's going down your gullet. Save on cups for beverages. Bring your own cup, same price. Okay. Install solar panels, skylights, play 2 p.m. games. That is a good idea. That's a really good idea, actually, because a lot of times teams get to determine the time of the games. 2 p.m. games. I mean, people in Portland really don't work, right? So that might work. Just kidding, Haunted Horse, saying that to get under your skin. 2 p.m. games. Players can take their jerseys home for washing. Yeah, for 100%. Yeah. 100%. Have the team warm up with one basketball.
Yeah, for sure. Everything you just said.
Yes. This is what I'm talking about. There's got to be more. You could source. Here's an idea, Tom. Now, you might not like the price still because it would be from retail, but why don't you source all your baked goods from places that sell day-old bakery items? Tom, that might work. I think we're getting there. We've given him some really good ideas. Really good ideas. Put a square counter. If you do, and this is assuming you provide toilet paper, there's going to be a square counter, right? Oh, Tom, you know those vending machines? Those nasty, just weird vending machines that are inside bathrooms? Why don't you put the toilet seat, like whatever you want to call it, the cover? Why don't you put those in there and charge people 25 cents? But here's what you do. Much like a can, there's like a recycling rate on it. They can sell it back to you for what, 5 cents? And you can reuse those, Tom. I mean, anyone else going once, going twice, happy to revisit this, but I just really want to help him out. Tom Dundon could do a promo for the Dundon points that they can collect concession but are completely worthless, like Haunted Horse coins. I knew you were going there. Haunted Horse, is there anything that you would like to say to Peter right now? Haunted Horse.
Having sex on a dead dog.
Whoa. Haunted Horse. See, this is why we don't play Haunted Horse drops. I don't know what's going to come out of his mouth. That's the problem here.
Man, I'm feeling great. My ball sack is huge today.
See, that's not appropriate for this show, Haunted Horse. Yeah. Ass gaskets. All right. What's up, Rhino? Up here in Rockling. Yeah, for sure, dude. You're in Rocklin. You're gonna get some Bennett's. Do it. He should lay off the food court staff and just run it himself. He would be spreading himself really thin, like super thin. I mean, Tom, visit the local prisons and see where they source their food, Tom, because it's usually maybe a step or two above dumpsters. You might be able to do that as well. All right, let's get off Tom. Thank you, Tom, for the fun. Yeah, you're welcome, Tom. Anything you'd like to say to us? Guess not. So we move on. we move on to tonight in the Cavaliers and the New York Knickerbockers. This is going to be a fun game. Right now, the spread, let me update it for you, is going to be, it's not updating. Tom, did you cut my internet out? There we go. Spread 6.5 points in favor of the Knicks. I don't see this being a game that is in single digits. I think you are either going to have a hangover, and what you're looking at here on the left is a comparison between the two teams, and then you've got Cleveland's game notes for tonight, courtesy of Hoops OMG, my favorite website. I think tonight you're either going to see the Cavaliers come in and bully the Knicks. You're going to see a rusty Knicks team, a team that's not shooting the basketball well. You might get some energy here and there off the bench, but ultimately Cleveland wins the game. Cleveland probably goes somewhat wire to wire with it, kind of like last night. I see that scenario, and I see the other scenario where you have a massive game 7 hangover. And Cleveland comes out and just gets blown off the court. Because if you're Cleveland, the goal here is to get one of two. You've got to get one of these two games. Cleveland, though, to their credit, has played well on the road. They played very well in Game 7 in Detroit. So I don't know that the two scenarios, anything outside of those, is going to happen tonight. I do know this. Mike Brown has got to find a better way to use Karl Anthony Towns. Cat has been tremendous passing the ball when he is not in foul trouble, but he has been all but frozen out of the New York Knicks offense as a scorer. If you look at his shot attempts over the playoffs, I don't know that he's been over 12 shots in a game. So it's going to be very Brunson heavy. I do think this is a game, if I'm Kenny Atkinson, that I am going to lean a little bit more on my bench because you are on short rest, especially if you're getting that Game 7 hangover. I'm going to look for some different energy to insert to the game. You saw a lot of Dennis Schroeder in the last series against the Pistons. I think this is a series, and I'm not going to say you're going to see as much of him as you saw Schroeder in the last series, but I think it would be basketball malpractice not to throw Keon Ellis at Jalen Brunson if Jalen Brunson is cooking. If you have tried Donovan Mitchell, you've tried James Harden, you've tried Dennis Schroeder, and he's running through all three of them, you have at least got to throw Keon Ellis out there because he is somebody that is one of the slipperiest, and I have talked to different players in the league about this. Keon is one of the slippier players. I can't say that word. He's very slippery. Let's just put it that way. When it comes to trying to screen him, he's also very good at blowing up screens. The one thing I worry a little bit about is Keon from time to time here in Sacramento would flop. That shit ain't going to fly in the playoffs. It ain't. We've seen it. This is a different game. Keon's only gotten, garbage minutes for the most part this postseason. However, in the regular season, he was playing a decent amount, starting, scoring, doing really well. So Kenny's got to look at that if Brunson's going. I just don't think that I might be wrong. I very well could be wrong because I don't have the same beat on this series that I have on the other series that we saw last night in terms of feeling, in terms of looking at the X's and the O's, looking at the film, having the 4 or 5 games that the Spurs had won and looking what they did and look at the consistencies of what they did and how what they did was different than what any other team in the NBA could do against the Thunder. I don't have that feeling here. Cleveland has been very Jekyll and Hyde. So what kind of James Harden are you going to get? Are you going to get the James Harden that took Cleveland or took took Detroit's hearts at the end of game 5? Or no, game 4? Game 4. No. Game 3 or 4? Game 4. No. Yeah. Anyways, last series. You get what I'm saying. Who snatched their hearts down the stretch, or are you going to have the James Harden that is passive, that cannot make a shot, that can't get into a flow? Donovan Mitchell also in this one. Is he going to be able to? He likes a big stage, but he has not played great this playoffs on the road. He's played much better at home. So can he turn that around? Certainly playing in Madison Square Garden, that is a whole different animal. We've talked about that. We have seen what Knicks fan does. Knicks fan is freaking insane.
New York Knicks run New York City!
Bing bong!
Tell me this, KD. Don't you regret not coming to the Knicks?
And that's what's going on outside the building. Just wait till you get in the building. But when I look at the matchups in their rotations, the one player that I don't see an answer for right now, I shouldn't say answer, but the unanswered player that I'm not sure Cleveland can defend is Mitchell Robinson. Mitchell has his deficiencies on the offensive end, specifically free throws, but Mitchell Robinson is the best offensive rebounder in the NBA, hands down, and he impacts basketball games. So Jared Allen, he impacts basketball games. He took over one of the games last series, just absolutely took over it. So, it was the Toronto series that he took over. You've got Jarrett and you've got Mobley. Jarrett is a little bit more physical than Mobley. Mobley shies away from the physicality. And I wonder if Mitchell Robinson is going to be that guy that they just can't keep off the boards. Because if the Knicks are rusty, the last thing you can do is let the Knicks get second opportunities. It just cannot happen. As for the bench, I really like in a matchup that I think is going to be very important down the stretch in this one is going to be Max Strus and Jose Alvarado. Alvarado, a little bit of that spark plug off the bench for the Knicks, brings them energy, scrappy, plays faster than Brunson. Max Strus, same type of guy. Max Strus did not think he had a chance of playing in the NBA until his junior year of college when a coach pulled him aside, and his work ethic is stupid. Like in the arena, working out before some of the arena employees are there working out. And you saw what he can do to change a series as well. So I look at that matchup. I look forward to it. I think they kind of cancel each other out, but Cleveland has got to be able to hit the three balls 100%. They have got to hit those looks, whether it's Merrill, whether it's Mitchell, whether it's Strus. Gotta make your 3-pointers in this one. I just have a feeling, and I'm putting my money where my mouth is with this one tonight. I'm going Cleveland tonight. I took Cleveland straight up on Prize Picks. So what do you think? How does this play out? Cat's got to stay out of foul trouble as well. LGK, Las Vegas Golden Knights. Is that it? Do you think we overvalued Keon, or is he having a hard time fitting in with Cleveland? I personally liked Keon, but no, I don't. Well, you know what? That's a good question, Andy. Yes, we did overvalue Keon because that's what we do in Sacramento. We overvalue everybody. What was different about Keon than a lot of the other players on the Kings roster was Keon is what I call a universal piece. He could fit with any basketball team in the NBA. Any of them. He could walk on the floor and he would fit in because of his game. And I don't think his playing time during the playoffs is a reflection of him not fitting in Cleveland. I think it's a reflection of the playoffs, the different style of game it is, and what Kenny Atkinson needed. He needed somebody else to be the straw that stirred the drink between Donovan Mitchell and James Harden. He didn't want the ball in both of their hands at all times. That is where Dennis Schroeder came in. If Keon had a better handle and he was a better playmaker, I believe those minutes would have gone to Keon. But Schroeder was more of what they needed. But that being said, here in Sacramento, Keon would have been, and I've maintained this for a really long time. I think the goal right now is, I've said 2 goals for the offseason. The first goal is to get guys back into their natural positions. However you can do that with the players that you have, the players you might draft, trades, transactions that might be made. Just for note, on this graphic, the Kings, the black square, it's a 7, not a 4, because that's where they're picking. You've got to find a way to get guys back in their natural positions. And then the second thing that you have to do is you have to build up and decide. Because I think, to a degree, Scott Perry was a little bit slow to evaluate the talent that he inherited. I think he was a bit behind schedule with that. But with the talent that you have now and the guys that he wants to move forward with, none of them are the guys that are going to take you to the promised land. Max Reynaud is not going to do what Wemby did last night. Nick Clifford's not going to do that. Dylan Cardwell is not going to do that. Malik Monk is not going to do that. But I think a lot of the guys that are on this team, what you want to do is build them to the point where they have their roles and they do what they do and they're ready to fill in around whoever that player is going to be. Maybe you get that player in the 7th or in the draft at 7. Maybe. The reality is, maybe you don't. Maybe you get another player like you have now, where it's going to be somebody that is ready to be installed around, quote unquote, that guy. The Kings have never had that guy. So, whether it's this draft, whether it's next draft, and it's going to come from the draft. I don't see it coming from free agency. I do not see it coming from a trade. It's going to be from the draft. So until the Kings can draft that guy, that's the best you can do. Get yourselves ready and get your existing players ready to be in line and ready to go with that guy when they get to Sacramento. However long that might take. You know, you can put somebody in that position as that guy, but that doesn't mean that they're that guy in the NBA. And I think part of what that is, or what it is this season, is exactly that. It's figuring out during this time, can Keegan Murray play in that role? Could DeAndre Hunter play in that role? Is it Max Reynaud that can play in that role? Do we reshuffle the deck and look at a better way to play around Sabonis and have him as that guy? That's the goal. That's what needs to happen, in my opinion, this season. Meanwhile, Fox will be benched for Harper. No, he will not be benched for Harper. But, you know, every playoff game can be a little bit different. The whistle can change. Last night, thought it was perfect. So you don't know if you're going to run into foul trouble or not. I do think, you know, I'm going to reserve. I'm going to reserve my opinion until I see Fox in a game against Oklahoma City with this group. I'm going to reserve my opinion because I could see it being both ways. I could see how it could be a different look and how he can be very beneficial. And I can also see where Harper could be the more physical of the two playing against the OKC guards. So I'll wait until game 2. Hopefully he'll be back. Fringe player on a championship contender, not good enough for Sack. I mean, you know what, Daniel, I can't argue with you about that because that's what he is right now in the playoffs. It's a shame. A player like Keon was let go. Yeah, we'll see. Knicks beat the Spurs 2 or 3 times, including the difference maker in the NBA Cup championship. That is correct. They did. Cavs have a few guys that can slow Brunson. We'll see. Leave the doors open to save on AC. Good job by you. Safeway points. I don't know. Then you got to partner with Safeway, right? That's the problem. New starting Blazers point guard, Tom Dundon. You know what's hilarious about that? He's on the court before every game taking shots. Not with the players, but like he's out there early getting shots up. Maybe, you know what? That's the best idea. Player owner. Have we ever had a player owner in the NBA? I don't think so. Is that allowed? Probably not. But hell, paying a coach $1 million to coach your team in the NBA shouldn't be allowed either. So if you're going to embrace it, embrace it. All right, we're going to get ready to wrap up here in a few minutes. Ryan, what do you think of Fleming rooting the Kings draft Mikael Brown Jr. for one of those Michigan ballers? You know, Eddie, I really like Fleming. I love Fleming, actually, in terms of his mindset. I like the way that he plays the game. His 3 ball is an unknown, which I don't think is a big deal because the Kings don't necessarily need a 3-point shooting point guard, or at least a specialist at the point guard position. They kind of need the guy that is your prototypical point guard. Everything that you have not had in point guard since the Beam team, a Colin Gillespie, a TJ McConnell, if you're going to continue playing the style that the Kings have played over the last few years, I worry about his size. However, he was a really good defender in college at Houston. You have to be a really good defender to play for Kelvin Sampson. Acuff has the higher ceiling. Hands down, Acuff has the higher ceiling than Fleming, in my opinion. But Acuff does not play defense. Acuff is faster than Fleming. Baseline to baseline, sideline to sideline, I don't know. I need to watch more film. Acuff, Jerry Reynolds says he sees Kyrie Irving possibly in Darius Acuff, which is a very high compliment. So it depends what Scott Perry's looking at. And I get things are gonna, and Scott Perry said it to me when I asked him. In fact, I might still have it. I asked Scott about the Kings and, like what they're going to look at, what they're going to consider. Like last year, both guys that they drafted had played 4 or more years in college. So obviously, well, one, it was a good consistency. You want to see consistency in what you're picking, or how you're picking, I should say. But also they needed players that could step on the court right away. Max ended up being the better player at 42. And if the draft was held all over again, he would be a top 10 pick. And it will be a freaking travesty if he is let off or not on the second team all rookie team. Because I think there's an argument he could be on the first team. But Scott said that they look at every player individually. They evaluate them individually. So if you're looking at what Scott said in the past about what they want to, this foundation they're building, the players they want to bring in, they want 2-way players. So in that case, Fleming falls into the category more than Acuff falls into the category. Yet Acuff seems to be a little bit, I think he's a little stronger than Fleming, and Acuff was asked about it at the combine. He said, I just need to put more effort on the defensive end. It's not uncommon in college, but then you're taking that next step to the NBA, which is a thing all on its own. And now you're going to start playing defense. So you see where it goes both sides. I think in my heart of heart, Acuff will not be on the board when the Kings pick. I don't think he will be there. I think he will be gone. I did not talk about it, but I do have it for you. I'm so glad you brought it up. That was brutal. Brutal. No hitter going into the 9th. How does that happen? Here's the audio really quick, and we'll finish answering your questions.
A 2-1 walk-off win on a home run. What a gut punch for the Athletics. On a career-high night for JT Ginn, had a no-hitter going into the 9th. Athletics able to scratch across the run they needed. And Dallas, they leave, losing this game 2-1.
Just an incredibly unfortunate series of events.
Just an incredibly unfortunate series of events. It's the only way you can put it. Do I see Fox in Acuff? Speed, yes. I think Acuff he was the fastest at the combine, but before the combine, I was already on record saying that I believe he's the fastest player with a basketball that I've seen since De'Aaron. So that's the only similarity that I would like to pull. Jason Kidd's fired? Really? Is that a Shams bomb? Is that a Shams bomb? Unbelievable. Breaking. Jason Kidd out as coach of the Dallas Mavericks. Masai Ujiri made the coaching change. Remember, he was the Raptors GM who was just hired because the price tag was so high. The Dallas Mavericks announced Tuesday, this is per X, that they had parted ways with head coach Jason Kidd following a 26-56 finish in the 2025-2026 season, marking it the first major move by Masai, despite rookie Cooper Flagg standout 21-point average and Kia Rookie of the Year honors. Injuries and a post-Luka Doncic roster struggled to compete. Ujiri cited the need for a new direction to pursue sustained championship contention, with the full coaching search now underway as the team resets around Flagg entering his second year. Wow. That's crazy. Just remember he was like at the top of the list for the Knicks, and he turned it down. You know what's mind-blowing to me? This is what happens when you bring a different front office in, you bring a different view in, because I was speaking with somebody that was in the Dallas Mavericks front office, and their goal this year, since Kyrie was not going to return, the whole AD thing, Dallas was hyper-focused on the fact that before they traded AD, this draft was going to be the last draft for, I believe, 2 or 3 years that they were going to retain their draft pick. And being in the position they were in, that's pretty grim because you don't have Luka anymore. Like you have to rebuild through the draft, right? Now they did get some compensation from Washington, but it's hilarious to me that was the mindset there. Like that was the mindset of that front office. to at least be in the lottery for this draft. And Jason Kidd falls on the sword for it. Wow. Man. Hey, this is the same guy, Ujiri, who traded for Kawhi Leonard in Toronto, got him as a rental because he thought he would take Toronto over the top and win them a championship. What did they do? Won him a championship. If I am Mike Brown, it just became NBA championship or bust. If I am Mike Brown, if I do not win an NBA championship now that Jason Kidd is on the market, I am losing my job. Insane. Wow. Sham says Kidd had 4 years and well over $40 million left on his contract. So the newer owner, Patrick Dumont, was talking into that. Wow. Zero chance. Zero chance of that happening. 40 mil left on his deal. Holy crap, man. Patrick Dumont is all over the map. You get talked into trading Luka, right? Nico takes the fall for the results of that and the fan base pushing back and bringing caskets to the arena. Dumont's talked into trading AD, like you basically flipped AD, like a real estate transaction with like no value. You hire the biggest free agent GM out there that was asking to be paid the most of any GM. And now he talks you into dumping Kidd with $40 million left on your contract or on his contract. Yo, Patrick, my man, I've got something really good to sell you. It's called ice. Here's why you need ice, Patrick. You can turn it into water. Hit me up here on the King's Court, man. Let's talk. Let's do it, man. Holy bleep. This owner. Erratic. Delegating. Trusting. Dallas fan, man. This is going to be a really split pot for Dallas fan for this reason. I think a lot of Dallas fan really still wanted Jason Kidd in that role. And I think most of Dallas fan loved the Ujiri hiring. Dude, Dallas fan, can you just get out of the controversy? Holy crap. Oh, and you know what else the Dallas fans have to deal with? You know what? I'm tired of dealing with the Mavs. I just don't want to do it anymore. They're too much drama. I'll just go deal with this guy.
There was no question in our mind that Michael could bring us a lot of resources on a trade. When you have the kind of extraordinary pass rush that Michael had, more or less, that we don't have that excellence that Michael Parsons has there, but we do have the depth. The other thing that I would like to say is I firmly made a commitment to Michael this spring. Micah.
Did you at any point talk one-on-one with Micah to try and figure this out?
Did I?
No. Grant did not. I don't remember Grant predicting that Kidd would be fired. He did not predict it. Per my memory, and I talk to the guy every day, he predicted that Jason Kidd would take over for Mike Brown. But I thought if the Knicks got to the NBA Finals, if they get to the NBA Finals, that to me probably had Mike Brown's job safe. That's no longer true. Maybe it wasn't true all along or wouldn't have been true. This, unless somebody swoops up Jason Kidd, and then you start thinking about the candidates that are out there. And to be completely honest with you, I don't know if Dallas is really that appealing of a job. I mean, it's not a bad job, but interesting. All very interesting. Like Tom Thibodeau comes to mind. Tom Thibodeau and Masai Ujiri would not get along, I don't think. That doesn't work. Like, I'm trying to think of the other coaches. Taylor Jenkins got swooped up. Jamal Mosley is now the coach of the Pelicans. Very interesting. Very interesting stuff here. Kings owner is looking like the third worst after Portland and Dallas. I'm not, well, yeah, I mean, sorry, I'm processing this in real time. I apologize for the crickets. It's hard to call Patrick Dumont a bad owner per se, because bringing in Ujiri was a great move. He's willing to pay the money to have the best of the best GMs out there. One of the best of the best. You know, like he's trying to win. I guess my question is like, how he just seems like he can be sold easily. I don't want to call it gullible. Oh, that would be a nightmare. That would be a nightmare with a capital N. You know who's going to get that job? I'll tell you who's going to get that job. Mike Malone is going to get that job. Mike Malone will get that job. Which is an interesting pairing because he's a strong personality too. But Ujiri, strong personality. If he wants somebody like that with the players, Mike Malone. Circle that name. Ask Grant tonight, 7:00, who he thinks that job's going to. But I am pretty confident going on the record and telling you today on May 19th, 2026, Jason Kidd will not be the coach of the Sacramento Kings. Very confident in telling you that. So let's just make that very clear before we wrap things up and get you on to the basketball game tonight. Grant will be on again, 7:00. Join him and do a little watch along for the second half of it'll be coming down to crunch time, actually. Second half of the Cavs and the Knicks, 15 minutes away. I am taking the Cavs straight up on Prize Picks for this one. I kind of gave you an idea of how I think tonight will play out, the two scenarios that I see. I don't see a knockdown, drag out fight like last night. That's not going to be what it is. But wow. Crazy stuff. So, okay, I'm going to say Mike Malone. Mike Malone is the name that I think goes there. Yes, it was awful. That's why I said I was going to get to that. Guys weren't showing up there was like no rules in place. Dudes were late all the time for shoot-arounds, film. Doc Rivers was half checked out. Doc Rivers is... I don't see Doc Rivers being a coach again in the NBA. I just don't. And goodness gracious, could you imagine if he went on to coach the Portland Trailblazers? Tom Dundon would not be happy with the linens cost because our boy Doc sweats a lot. He would not do that. He would give Doc one towel to use. Mavs were in the Western Conference Finals, dismantled their team. Oh yeah, duh. Sorry. Yeah, thanks, Greg. I'm an idiot. Yeah, come on, Ryan. I had a Jera moment. Mike's in UNC. That's right. Daughter playing volleyball there. All right. I don't know who the coach is. We'll see. It's not going to be Tom Thibodeau, though. I don't think. Maybe it will be. Maybe I'm rethinking this about like a strong personality. I go back to Patrick Dumont. Like, this guy can be swayed into big decisions. Like an Eskimo could sell this guy ice. Door-to-door salesman, figure out where he lives. You'll make some money and some commission. Wow. Like, he's not thinking on the other side of these things. Doc's time has passed. Doc's time has passed. Acuff will fall to the Mavs? No, I don't think he would fall past the Kings. Terry Stotts? I think that's more of a conspiracy thing, Renus. I don't see that happening, but I could be wrong. Like Mike Malone being the next coach. Maybe he is. Maybe it is college. He'll leverage the job opening in Dallas against the contract he just signed at UNC. Hey, here's a name. Don't forget Billy Donovan. Billy Donovan's out there as well. So those are the names you're going to hear. Billy Donovan. You're going to hear Tom Thibodeau. Taylor's gone. Should be interesting. All right, we'll see. Mike Brown, win a championship, my man, or else Jason's coming for your job. Have a great day. Thanks for being here. Thanks for the sarcasm. Thanks for the great ideas. Thanks for the calls. Lynn, Kazi, everybody else, appreciate you. We are back tomorrow with more Kings Court. We'll break down tonight's game, and we will get back to our 3 to 5 shenanigans that are usually a lot of fun. Again, Grant tonight, 7:00. Join him. Would appreciate that. Open forums are always fun. And make it a great night. We'll see you for tomorrow's Wednesday edition of the Kings Court. Court's dismissed.